So I just want to sell beer. Well, I go, oh, well, it costs too much. Well, of course, upfront cost is a little more of an investment, but as a whole, we will produce more cash than individual businesses. It's called synergism, is a term Buckminster Fuller came up with. And so as the system goes, we'll produce more cash flow off of all of it than we would off the separate parts. And so that's what we look at it. So, but again, the brewers, they go, oh, I just want to brew beer. So they go, well, I'm making money. I'll just double my beer production. I don't want to grow the mushrooms again. So we're looking at ways to get other people involved, other entrepreneurs, how to take that waste and do something with it. First one, mushrooms. Mushrooms are very important. These are the oyster mushroom. You can take coffee, you can take the spent grains, and in 2 to 3 weeks you can have a sellable product, right? And so this is grown right now off of the spent grain, actually distiller's grains from like Jack Daniels and Southern Comfort down in Louisville, Kentucky. These guys, I came to one of my lectures and decided to do it. And so I helped them out, and now they've got a company called Five Fun Guys, producing mushrooms. Yeah. And so, and that's good. Now, another group I work with are kids. It's very important to me to train the children. Sustainability will die if it's only a bunch of old people talking about it. Right? The kids have to embrace it and take it on. And so we want to move on. So we get the kids. This is in Minnesota, where we teach children. This, again, is the most poverty-stricken school in Minnesota, where we're teaching this kids how to collect coffee waste. In this case, we're using coffee waste, not brewer's grains. From Starbucks and places like that. It's a great substrate for mushrooms, again. And then you can teach them in their classroom, how to take waste material and create an economic generator from it. Because now after you grow the mushrooms, you try to teach them how to find markets to sell them, whether it's restaurants or farmers markets or whatnot, so that way they can put a little cash in their pocket as well from collecting waste material. You're trying to teach kids how to take care of themselves. First, eat the food, and then whatever's left over, sell it. Take care of yourself first. Here's a large digester, an anaerobic digester. Kind of bouncing around for time's sake, but this is taking the spent grains of the brewers. Instead of running it into the mushroom side, you're taking it using algae instead of fungus, another kingdom of nature, which cuts off the oxygen and produces electricity off the methane. And so in this case, anybody ever have a fat tire or a New Belgium beer? Well, the waste of it goes into this machine to produce energy to make more fat tires. So keep drinking. Large digester here at a city in Ulsan, South Korea, where they increased gas production 400% by combining the human waste with fats, oils, and greases from the restaurants and other industries. Very successful project there. City of Lafayette actually has a digester at their wastewater plant. It's just not run very efficiently. Here's another small-scale digester that I work with. This is a company out of Vermont. But once you have a digester, what can you do with it? So I show the bottom here. The product that comes out is dry, and so this here is dairy cattle waste, but you could eat that. It has no smell, no toxins, right? And then the water that comes out is nutrient rich, so what can you do with that water? Well, we say feed algae, And by doing that, with the algae systems, what happens is you're combusting the methane to get to the electricity, so we don't want a CO2 stack. Algae love CO2. Now we can sequester all the CO2 that's being combusted utilizing algae-growing greenhouses. So there's no more CO2 emissions throughout the process, and clean water, because the water that comes out is nitrate-rich and phosphate-rich, and the algae will sequester those as well. So now you can create drinkable water from the wastewater system. You can reuse right back onto your dairy farm. You never have to buy new fresh water, except for evaporation. This is a new technology I'm working with out of the United Kingdom. This is an anaerobic digester in a 40-foot shipping container, used shipping container. Okay, 5 minutes. I think I'm close. I don't know. Going down. So everything in turnkey on site. Put it right in. Don't have to worry about the permitting issues of normal digesters or all the engineering stuff. Just have to have the waste supply, about half a ton a day. So what's going on? You kind of see the flow. I'm not going to talk too much about that. So we can, here's the generator. Again, if you're going to do a large scale, I say go with GE because it's the most efficient generator on the planet. But if you want to go with real innovative, we talk about fuel cells. Mostly this one, the solid-state oxide fuel cell from Bloom Box is the only one I advise. The rest of the fuel cells use rare earth metals. I don't like that. So again, we're talking about creating competitive business models inspired by nature here with the algae. Here's the largest CO2 stack in Brazil. Is now being all sequestered through algae-growing greenhouses. And why here in America we think we need to push our carbon dioxide in liquid form underground, I don't know. It makes no sense to me. except for it produces more oil out of the ground. There's not a whole lot of ecological sense, but here this makes a lot of sense. So the country of Brazil buys all that algae and converts it into biodiesel for their fleet, so it creates a market for it internally. They drive the process. This is a new technology I'm working with. It's piezokinetic technology. Basically, you step on it, it produces 7 watts of electricity automatically. Up to 20 watts, but we don't weigh enough. So I'm working on it, putting this in a pig farm. But you can see you can dance on it, you can do different things. I'm working with this company now. I'm only the second person in the United States working with them, I'm told, so we'll see what happens. This new technology I'm working with out of Sweden, new innovation out of the blue economy. This is a combined heat and power unit, so it's active solar and hot heating liquid. At the same time, I can produce about 3 to 4 times the amount of energy that I would just off a traditional solar panel for the same footprint. Another technology that we're using now is basically replacing all of our exit signs and things like that with a photoluminescent sign, because I don't like the idea that most of these new exit signs are now are nuclear material in them. And so if you were to buy a large amount, you have to sign up with the Department of Homeland Security, because you could create a nuclear weapon from our exit signs. And so I try to get away from that. Here's another company that I'm working with. We manufacture this right here in Indiana. This is another combined product, solar with wind, in the same unit. There's only a couple products I know in the world that are doing this. Very, very neat product, and I'm expecting right now sales are about 200 units a month. It's just a startup company, but I expect it to ramp up quite a bit here in next year. And you can see them installed at the Buffalo Bills Stadium, Helsinki Embassy in Helsinki. Larger scale vertical axis. This is a new company I'm just now partnering with. The only installation in the United States is this building right here. It's a research laboratory at the top. These are 16 to 18 foot tall vertical axis wind turbines. Very, very neat technology. And then lighting, very important to look at lighting. I think somebody mentioned that today, replacing lighting. That's all neat and fine. But if you really want to change the way that things work, you install the solar tubes. Because those are also, again, the best antiseptic. So if you don't want your people to pass disease while they're working, the sunlight needs to be in your factory floor as well, which increases productivity and less sick days. And then this is a great one for anybody in the industry who wants to train their people on how to design for the environment, but have them do it online without having to send people in or do expensive trainings with people like me and stuff like that, having to come out. So this just came out last month. A partner of mine designed it. And it's an online training program, so I just like to show that for people. But those who mentioned the conflict minerals, stuff like that, this addresses all that and where to find substitutes for those types of things. So it's a very cool technology or new online training program to reach all of the standards around the world. This is my last slide, so 2 minutes left. So, my second to last slide. So an overview of what I'm talking about when I talk about systems design, versus linear approach. We look at a portfolio of technologies. Traditional businesses will have one core technology and focus on that. Our technology will change over time to meet new conditions. As the world evolves, we evolve with it. Instead, they want same once for all. Again, our implementation will grow over time, just like nature would. Instead, they want once built, operational forever. Like one of the companies I work with built their factories in the 40s. They haven't changed hardly anything. All right. They want that investment to ride out as long as possible. But it's time to invest in their infrastructure because it's getting too expensive. Right? And so we look to adapt to the climate, social, and environmental conditions. Again, they want to be the same in every location. We believe 99% of the knowledge and skills can come locally. It doesn't have to come from the outside. And we look at the technologies to value the whole, not just the individual components. Here you're trying to maximize one component, then you destroy the system. And that's not what we're trying to do. And we aim total productivity, output of one converting waste of one to another, so we eliminate waste. Instead, right now, we're generating large amounts of waste. And we want to be in coevolution with nature. And what you're having over here is they're intervening with the ecosystem, possibly even changing the core of life and evolution itself. And that's scary to me, and I don't want my children to live in that world, so I work for this kind of stuff. So if you give a man a fish, he'll not be hungry for the day. If you teach him how to fish, anyone? He will overfish. So, and I have to say, any questions on that? You can go to the real ones. This, I have to give credit to these guys. These are my mentors from around the world. I wouldn't know any of this stuff if it wasn't for my my mentors. You know, they taught me all these things, and I got to experience the world to about 40 countries because of these people. And so that's why I'm here today, I guess. That's who you should thank. So if you clap, clap for them.
Yeah, and George will give you a present.